And we're live.
Yeah. All right,
Yep,
dudes.
let's go.
Welcome to episode 3 of the DIY Toycast. I'm Gordon, Vladimir the Batimir. Brett, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Brett of Aegis Station.
And we have a very special guest today, Brandon. So, Brandon, you
Hey,
want to introduce yourself?
so I'm Brandon, and my handle name is Divine Serp, which you can find on Instagram.
Awesome. And with this, we're completing the quadrilogy of toy pizza toy makers that met up this summer. So that's sort of, again, how Brett and I met Brandon was through the Knights of the Slice toy pizza community and the annual show that they have in Beacon, New York during the summer. So maybe it's uh, it's only been like 2 days since Brett and I recorded our last episode. So, Brandon, maybe do you want to start with
Yeah, I mean,
what you've been up to?
talking. Talk about like a little origin on meeting you guys,
Yeah.
and like how awesome you guys have been. You guys being like great minds and creatives. So obviously, I've been following your work before I met you guys and stuff like that. So that was really cool. And through like Toy Pizza and our Discord and our squires and stuff, I got to discover Brett and his little oozes, which I have kind of the abomination one over here.
Yeah,
Like
I
this.
think Brandon currently has the largest collection of any Aegis Station figure line in probably the world. So congratulations.
All right, I hope I can get in the Guinness for that. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, like definitely something cool to check them out because you guys definitely welcomed me with that open arms and stuff like that. And then you listen to my ideas and all the figures. My character, you actually helped me bring that to life too, which we can talk about a little later. But
Okay.
yeah, in terms of what I'm working on now, I kind of just have been painting a couple random things, so that's about it. You
I
know,
mean,
And are you painting figures or are you painting tabletop minis?
so recently I just finished the cursed armor, which is this guy, if he focuses, which is actually made by Gordon.
yeah,
Oh,
and you should definitely
beautiful.
go on Brandon's Instagram and like check out the beautiful photos that he took because it's insane the paintwork that he put in. And
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'll
if
I'll be
and
grilling
it
you shortly about
yeah, and
all
in the
his
event I ever get to
figures.
production, Brandon is in charge of all my paint masters.
You guys are too nice. You guys are too nice. And then I also finished up the head sculpt. If I have that around here, it's somewhere. It's somewhere around here actually. But yeah, I finished up that head sculpt, which you can see on my page. Wish I had it, but from Wyatt, which was really cool. Little good details and pretty nice sculpt too, which he was kind enough to send me. So that was fun. But right now we got kind of like an empty little slate on what we're gonna work on. So I just kind of have to grab a few stuff.
Yeah, so uh, as long as you're sort of talking about your various projects, could you tell us a little bit more about this dude who's your character
Oh yeah, yeah.
and maybe
My
how he came to
character
be?
Reaver. So actually, the way he was made was pretty like spontaneous. I've been like pretty like interactive with the company Foxforge.
Mhm.
They were actually my like step into resin figures in general.
Okay.
So I didn't really know anything about like resin 3D printing or like resin figures. So I actually discovered them, and their first wave of figures were resin.
Okay.
So I bought the full line, and I thought it was the coolest thing being made out of resin. Someone like 3D made this, 3D printed it, and then
Mhm.
they also like hand painted that as well. So that kind of like gave me the step and like the encouragement to like jump into painting and customizing, which I have tons of their like resin stuff, which I actually like painted myself and did customs and stuff like that. Which you can see on my page too. I'm pretty sure I have that. But yeah, so like just talking to them for like a while, they actually like offered me the use of like their sculptor at the time,
Wow.
to like, they were like, oh, if you ever have any ideas for like a character or anything, we'll be open to like letting you like use our sculptor and helping you out. And kind of like from there, I had drawn up this like kindergarten sketch because I'm not a great artist. which I'm a
Don't
little
have to.
jealous. I'm a little jealous of Gordon. He's always like every day, like posting some amazing artwork. So I'm just there, like I can barely draw a stick figure. So
Yeah, but it's like if you can even draw a little bit, like enough to communicate then to someone who will kind of take it to the end zone, like
yeah,
that's what you need. And like such a cool thing about like I feel like the smaller indie toy and toy maker community is like people are generally like if you're as long as you're cool and like approach people like respectfully and are like genuine in like your enthusiasm, they'll be like, you know, either they'll do a commission for you for a reasonable price, or some people, if they're like early on, will just like help you out and hook you up.
yeah. So like that, they took over my drawing and they made the character that is Reaver, the sculpt. Originally, he is a 6-inch figure, which hopefully I plan on revisiting down the line since I'm a big like 1/12 scale person.
Mhm.
But yeah, so like that happened, and I was pretty hyped. I didn't really do much with it at the time. They did send me like a few resin models of it,
Mhm.
and then definitely like fast forward years, meeting Brett, he actually encouraged me to start like printing the figure because he persuaded me to buy a Flash Forge printer. At this point, he should be an ambassador for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really need, yeah. The Super 7 affiliate, we're very thankful. However, if Bamboo Labs or Flash Forge Industries wants to send me a free printer or any material, we'll get the show's going to get a PO box here soon.
Yeah,
Nice.
you guys should get a PO box, and we should just get petitions going. And
Yeah.
but yeah, he encouraged me and kind of like became my personal Flash Forge tech. I'm just kind of I constantly bother him in the middle of the night, like, so how do I do this?
Yeah, and then and
uh,
then I respond back with like a full video edit of what you should be doing because I'm doing it
yeah,
on mine.
full videos, hands and everything. It's like you just move that, and
Yeah.
from there I printed my first figure. And he kind of had like a very quick debut at the Toy Pizza Expo, where
Yeah.
I sold some painted versions and some blank versions. Um,
Nice.
Yeah.
and
It's actually kind of miraculous how that file just sat in gestation for so long with no use. And then in a matter of weeks, it went from, oh, I have a printer to, oh, I have a few Reavers. Oh, a few of these are printed. And then, by the end of that cycle, it's like, oh, I sold a bunch of these. Awesome. I
yeah,
mean, your speed was really, really miraculous how quick you just caught up to the rest of us.
I mean, with definitely a lot of help from you guys and like motivation, seeing you guys just work is constantly motivation. Obviously, my printer was just disagreeing with me. Personal tech support over here.
That's a that's
I mean, that's a rite of passage. Is like, and I
Yeah,
feel like you started out with the resin printing first, right?
yeah, horrifying
Yeah. So you
experience.
know what a pain in the ass it is, and
Yeah,
so
and
I'm
then
an,
so go
good.
ahead, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like that's made me appreciate the Flash Forge so much more.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. My first experience with resin printing, I had like bought this printer, didn't really know anything, inhaling fumes, um,
Mhm.
fresh out the bottle, constant like I think I like had to replace parts on it like at least 4 times.
Mhm.
Resin spills because my vat would break. It was
Oh yeah.
terrible. Oh my god, it was a terrible experience. And then kind of like learned a little more,
Mhm.
and then introducing me to PLA and like filament printing. You just kind of push the button and you wait. So it's a lot easier.
Yes, as Gordon would describe, a hot glue gun on arm.
Yes, you should draw that. You should draw a hot glue gun.
I
Yeah.
mean, oh, I remembered the guy whose name I forgot like last time we were talking to Brett, but actually Lausner from Instagram was
Yes.
messaging me today. So he's a dude on Instagram who straight up just takes one of these 3D printing pens, which just is like a it's just an extruder. It just heats the plastic and then he draws like a stick figure and then like bends it upwards and then starts filling it out with a pen.
It's
So
That's crazy.
it's insane.
It's unreal. I really hope. I know he's listened to a couple episodes. Loudsburg, I hope you're listening to this now. We really hope you can join us on the pod sometime because I have to hear more about these hand-built figures. It's one thing for me to mess around and design these. It's another thing entirely for you to sculpt these by hand with a liquid hot pen. It's miraculous.
But I think
Yeah,
it shows like there's no really wrong way to go about this. Like
No,
you just
not at
pick
all.
your avenue and kind of stick to it.
yeah, that sounds insane. Like just out of thin air, you're making a full action figure. That's crazy.
Bro, it is crazy. It's absolutely unreal. But yeah, look more on that later. So Brandon, let's talk a little bit about your painting because, like I
Yes.
said earlier, you are going to be my paint master technician. In once I hit the Powerball and I have the funding to go into
Oh,
production.
for sure. I'm there for
So,
you, man.
how did you get started? What interested you in painting, and what made you take the leap to painting figures?
Yeah. So definitely one of my like start-ins was getting into D&D,
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Dungeons and Dragons for anyone who doesn't know what D&D is. Yeah, so I got into Dungeons and Dragons and forcefully made my friends play with me. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
Excellent. Yeah.
and like looking into it, I learned like you can play with miniatures and little things like that, and like people would paint them. So from there, I like bought a one of those like learn to paint Reaper like briefcases, and I painted one of my first minis, and I found like a lot of like joy and love for it. You know, painting like a knight, a skeleton, or whatever it may be. From there, I constantly painted. Then I found Fox Forge's resin figures. Gave my attempt because they did like a small contest at one point for painting one of their full figures. So I did that, which kind of gave me that like push to be like, well, I can paint bigger things too, instead of like tiny models all the time. And then from there, like seeing other people's work and just kind of like trying out my own things, mostly focusing. I've always focused on miniatures, but I'm now like trying to branch out into like bigger, like action figures, whether it be like 4 inch figures or like 6 inch figures. I want to try and like dip into that to get into better at like details and things like that too. So
So is Fox Forge local to you, or did you just find them through Instagram? Like, how did you come across them?
so I found them through like an ad on Instagram. Funny
Oh,
enough,
cool.
yeah, literally just randomly scrolling, an ad popped up of like their first Founders Edition figures.
Hmm.
And I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, so like I found a lot of like passion for it. I mean, I'm definitely like a super fan in a
Hmm.
sense. I have like the whole line. Don't want to brag, never missed a drop. But yeah, so definitely like it was just kind of off of an ad, and the guys who at the time, because it was two people, James and Joe, they were super awesome because I would contact them. They would like, respond, and they were very welcoming with like all the questions I used to have. They would let me do pretty much like personal Q&As with them as well, like things like that, and then continue into what they're doing now. Definitely still following them because they don't do the Stardust line anymore, but they are doing the Galactic Valor line.
Cool.
but but for besides from that, like definitely that was like a big point in like learning I can paint big figures.
Mhm.
And then that kind of pushed me to get into a resin printer because I had plans to print like resin miniatures, which didn't end up very well because they would constantly fail. But yeah, definitely the painting came from like playing D&D mostly, just trying to paint up models for my players at the time and make terrain and things like that. So
So when you were teaching yourself all this stuff, was it all YouTube, or like have you ever read
uh
an issue of White Dwarf?
oh, definitely just all YouTube.
Okay.
I've always been tempted to like get into White Dwarf because it looks super cool. But
Yeah, you
I
could.
I'm do you like subscribe
Well,
to
I
it?
actually like pulled my old codex from like
Oh, that's
early
cool.
2000s.
Yeah.
And so like in here, I mean, I don't think they do this anymore, but in like the back section, they would do like painting guides and stuff.
Yeah, they have that in some of their current ones. Like one of the recent box sets that still remains gray for me.
Hmm.
The inside they do have like the color themes and things like that. But yeah, definitely everything was from YouTube, just
Hmm.
watching people on YouTube, and like like pretty much just looking up how to paint things and just endless amounts of like YouTube. Yeah,
Nice.
and then attempting like the techniques and things like that. So
Brett, did you ever mess around with painting minis at any point, or?
Yeah, so a childhood friend of mine, we would have been early into high school. He had gotten really into the Games Workshop Lord of the Ring Armies of Middle-earth line,
Oh,
I think is
nice.
what it was called. So we really enjoyed messing around with those. And I was, I was pretty bad at it. And truth be told, I mean, none of us were very good. We were in high school. We weren't really thinning them enough. My friend's name was Taylor. He had a really good grasp of it for our age. But it was, we were so befuddled because we were all playing Heroescape, which, fantastic game by Hasbro where you got a buildable terrain system if no one's ever played it. But they came with a pre-painted figure and
Hmm.
they were very passable, high quality factory paint stuff. But we're always like, Taylor, you paint all these armies of Uruk-hai and Rohirrim and elves, and you just put them on a shelf. Like, what are you doing? Like, why wouldn't you play with these? And then, we all enter adulthood and it's like, oh, that's what 90% of we do as painters
I mean,
now.
because it's that's the fun part,
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
Like,
So he was an old soul. He definitely was a, 15-year-old trapped in, or a 32-year-old trapped in a 15-year-old's body.
mhm.
But that was really my only exposure to it. The closest I ever got to anything like that in adulthood would have been painting some acid rain stuff I had printed.
Okay.
right, so you have you dipped inside the painting and customizing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now you're just a craftsman in the printing and everything. So
Well, the printer does the painting for me now. I like to get all my material color done. I like my material styles, as Jesse would call them.
No, it's hard to be all parts of the factory yourself. Like, as much as I like to try to do it, I do realize that like there are certain areas where I feel like more confident, like in the drawing part or in the sculpting part. But then, when it comes to doing the paint finish, I'm just like, I'll just, black undercoat it and dry brush it, and that's like good enough. Whereas like that's why it's so awesome to do collabs with people like you, Brandon, where like I feel like you're bringing like your like maximum skill to the painting part. And so that really complements, the obsessive work that like I put into the cursed armor.
I thank you for that. I mean, definitely your sculpt on the cursed armor is insane. Like the little body, the face and the little body.
Oh yeah.
Like it's my favorite part. Like that's my favorite part I did on it, and
Hmm.
that's why I try to make it like the very like prime focus of the model itself.
Hmm.
But that was my like actually like looking at the model. It's like insane the amount of little details you really added in, and like you kind of like scoped it in there. Like it's insane. I think it's so good.
And so, like, do you find like are there noticeable differences when you go between doing like custom parts per figures versus minis other than just it's more paint to paint a larger object? Like, do you find like do the sculpts tend to differ in different ways, or like do you have to worry about like where joints are?
So I haven't really done a full figure paint
Okay.
where joints are included. I know in the past when I've tried, joints were kind of a problem that I kind of need to like learn about.
Mhm.
But definitely the easier parts of painting like a obviously like a bigger model, you have more freedom. You feel like it's less mistakes. It's a little easier to kind of just like,
Mhm.
like go all in, highlight a lot easier, and things like that. With the miniature, sometimes like you got those tight spots, and you have like all those. Sometimes you had some frustrating areas. Compared to like the bigger like models, it's definitely a little easier for me. So
And so will you adjust like the level of detail that you're doing on a figure versus a model? Like for example, I know you also have painted up this goblin that I did
yeah,
at this scale, but I think you also might have some of like the minis that I ran, which are, that's the height of his shoe.
yeah,
So like would you
I'm that is something I want to tackle there too because he is a little smaller. I
so,
haven't primed up, so.
would you bother like trying to get into the eyes or stuff with something that small, or do you just let like a wash seep into the details?
I would be diabolical enough to try and get the eyes. Yeah. I have these which I definitely recommend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen like I know Kenneth West also has a set of those, and like uh
They they are amazing. You should definitely get a pair. If you
okay.
don't have a pair, like for like the those little parts, man, they just
Hmm.
so you know your eyes don't cross and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you just gotta hold your breath.
And so I know like I've talked to other people who say they use like a tennis ball to like brace their hand when they're doing those really fine details, or just like one hand on top of the other. What sort of tricks do you use when you really got to get in for tight
So
detail?
sometimes I'll do like the hand over hand. I've had when I actually went to like one of the Games Workshop stores, one of the employees who like at the time when I was learning, he kind of like, like kind of like rest your arms in, like like kind of like crunch up like an
Hmm.
armadillo, and yeah, and then like kind of like stables you out, which I find helps a lot, like, and you just have to stick your tongue out so it's maximum focus.
Yeah, do you
But
ever hit the like whenever because I don't do a lot of miniature painting, but with work, we have to do very much the same thing. We're glazing dental restorations, like tiny crowns, or doing, aesthetics on facials of front teeth. So we'll hit like the pinky to pinky when we build or do
oh
that.
yeah.
That's how I learned how to do it when I was in medical school. But usually that's the hand over hand thing. I see a lot of the younger people do that. I think some of the dinosaurs taught me how to do it. So
But yeah, I mean, my hand position kind of changes all the time, so things
right.
like that. It just depends on the model and how I have it on like the little like if I have it on a sticky tack post or like something like that. Kind of just depends on the position.
And
Right
so
on.
will you like mount the mini on a base? Like I know I've seen there are like branded Games Workshop ones that you can get where it like holds the mini, but I
Oh
assume
yeah.
there's other stuff that like you can use similar.
So like I either use like just wooden things, which is
Oh
actually
yeah.
Reaper, little resin Reaver head.
Oh, shout out to Reaver.
Yeah, and then or the Citadel. If like the model already has a base on it, or
Yeah.
like a pre-base, I use this. If not, I just throw some sticky tack or like a pill bottle or
Hmm.
things like that. Those are pretty easy too. Or like wine corks,
Hmm.
you just pop that on and things like that. You kind of just make do.
Right.
But
Something larger for your hand to wrap around rather than having to
yeah,
like hold the tiny little foot of the thing.
yeah, I found like this like literally just this block of wood. It has a
Oh,
shield on it,
nice.
but just this
Sick.
block of wood, yeah, is like a great thing because you can put bases on it. You can even put a little bigger models. Like I painted the curse on this, but
Okay.
individually.
Mhm.
So, so yeah, things like that kind of just help out. Anything for like that's comfortable for your hand.
Let me ask you this, Brandon. So you forced your friends to get into D&D. You picked up this entire addictive element of figures and painting, tabletop miniatures. When you were growing up, like what was informing you of these interests to make you go down this deep rabbit hole? Were you into like Lord of the Rings or fantasy? Were you a Star Wars kid? Like what did you have in the hand growing up?
So a majority of growing up, I was mostly surprisingly into just wrestling toys.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
sick.
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah,
That's
like
Gordon's wheelhouse more than me.
yeah, purely wrestling toys. I still have like these bins to my left over here.
Mhm.
Full, they're all full of wrestling.
So is that like I assume Attitude era like Stone Cold
um,
and
I'd say
Raw?
from there to like I never stopped collecting. So
Okay,
like
cool.
yeah, so throughout my life I've definitely never stopped collecting figures and stuff. So through there's just like years worth of like a long reign until recently. Recently I slowed down, but I grew up a lot with wrestlers and their like little O-ring GI Joes.
Okay, nice.
So definitely not a lot of fantasy
Mhm.
stuff that I can remember. Definitely like video game toys,
Mhm.
things like that. A mix, but mostly definitely wrestling. As I started getting older and like learning about like different action figures, different companies, things like that, it was only really till when did I start? Maybe like It's tough. Actually, like maybe like 2019, I want to say
Okay.
2019, a little, yeah, 2019 ish, 2018. Um, like I discovered D&D. I thought it was super cool because I've always loved fantasy, knights, dragons,
Mhm.
goblins. And one of our like friends knew how to play, so I asked them to teach me. Then I learned you have to have players to play. You can't just play with one person. So I forced my brother, my sister-in-law, my girlfriend, and then we grabbed a few other friends and kind of like forged this little like gaming group that we used to do weekly.
Mhm.
But I mean, one of the best parts was the minis. Just I'd be like, yeah, and just paint a bunch of minis,
That's
and they
awesome.
thought it was the greatest thing ever. That definitely kind of like kept them in for it, and the
Mhm.
dice. but
Awesome.
but definitely growing up was mostly wrestlers, and surprisingly not really big in like fantasy or like kind of the things I collect now in a sense.
Mhm.
But I think it's more just I learned the availability of what I can collect and
Mhm.
what's out there that kind of like made me grab everything I could now. So
I've actually
Right
been
on.
thinking about doing a wrestling figure. Like I'd love to do like a lucha figure, or I've been getting into a lot of the old like New Japan stuff. Like, do you know Jushin Liger
yeah,
or
that that
Hayabusa?
that would be awesome to see you tackle like a lucha style figure like that, especially with your style, kind of
Hmm.
like doing your own lucha mask in a way and like
Yeah.
making a wrestler. I would be down for that. I'd love to see that.
And I feel like you could even do it so that it's just the like classic, like flat surface mask with the eye holes, nose, and then the mouth. And then you could leave it so you could paint in all the details and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
I
actually,
think I just got to interject. This has to be a flex joint figure. You got to get knees and
I mean,
elbows. You got to do ankles. Like this thing's got to get ready to throw down in the
well, I
ring.
was thinking like
Exactly.
full
Yeah.
TPU, like you want to be able to have like, 4-year-old
Yeah.
kids
Oh,
do
dude.
the like
What would be
smashing
super?
together.
Yes, exactly. What would be super sick is if you did one where he's just squat and ready to go, and you could do like a Keshi style, like full TPU, one, that get monocolor. That'd be so fun.
Well, have you
That would
guys ever played with like, or Brandon, you may have, but like the old Mattel figures where the legs are like fixed pose, but it's just like a cut at the waist and then cuts at the shoulders and the neck.
the old Mattel ones. Are they like the
Maybe not. They're like 1990s. So it's like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan
oh
and
the like old WCW ones? Like they're
yeah,
a little thicker. Like
yeah, they're thicker. They're
yeah.
not the like just fully. There's also the ones that are just like a giant chunk of rubber where like you could hit a sibling with it
Oh
and like
yeah, yeah.
cause
Yeah,
serious harm.
those are the LJN ones,
Yeah.
like the heavy, like huge rubber ones. Yeah.
I
Uh,
remember friend of the pod, Bobby Torres, had one of Big Van Vader, and like all the paint on his like face was rubbed off, clearly from someone just like smashing him into
just
other
bashing.
figures.
Yeah. But no, definitely you should do something like that. I'd love to see like a wrestling thing.
Yeah. Well,
Mm,
talking about
ma-
it's got me excited.
Yeah, you
Super
could
sick.
then definitely like you can collab with Brett on its articulation since he's been like stepping it up like crazy lately.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's
Yeah.
too much. I have too much articulation now. I'm sick of it. I after
Right.
fiddling, like Orbix is a good medium for me, right? Like I love doing like the ball joint sockets for the feet. Like you get some really interesting poses. You can get them squat, but like after messing with like Azon, like this ankle thing and this wrist thing, like it's good. It's nice. It's too much. I'm going back to 5 POA. Everything's going to look like Kenner did it in the 70s when I'm done.
Well,
Oh, I was hoping to see that finger articulation.
Oh shit. Yeah, could you well, don't never say never, right? Like
Mhm.
that's one of those things I would love to do, but it's gonna be like on a big boss. It's gonna be like a 7 or 8 inch figure where it's like, it's gonna have like some insane claws and all the fingers articulate. Like, but to do it on like a regular soldier, that's absolutely batshit crazy.
Or you could just do that Zelda boss that's like the two giant hands.
or just Master Hand from Smash
Right,
Brothers.
right.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna write this down because you said it's a possibility for a bigger figure. So
Oh, I got some plans. We'll talk
Right.
after the show. I don't want to
Right.
promise anything and be on the air, but yeah,
Right.
I got I do have some, me and Gordon were talking briefly earlier today. I do have some plans for something giant I want to do.
Mhm.
But well, Orbix has to get done first, so
I feel like
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to go back and forth between like pushing really hard in one direction. Like uh, now that I've made a bunch of the like 6 inch hyper articulated cursed armors, I'm like, nope, I'm going back to 4 inch. We're doing
yeah.
5 POA,
Yes.
4 POA.
Yeah. Well, and you making the switch to that TPU torso, I think really did a number to reinstill the love for that sculpt at 5 POA because you get that playability with it again.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a good thing that like you kind of like jump into both skills, which
Mhm.
like being like someone who collects both skills, I like the fact that I can use cursed armor at a 4 inch or a 6 inch as well. So
Well, and also just on the painting tip, like it's way easier to get both like a good detail with the FDM printer if you're running it larger. But then also like if I wanted to come in and do, I guess I didn't get too crazy with this one, but like on this like Hero Gladiators paint sculpt, I went in and like picked out some of the individual spikes on the arm or uh like some of the I don't know what you would call this, like filigree, the little like swirly designs on the
yeah,
chest. I was able to get those with my brush when it's this big. Whereas, if it's down at the 4 inch, it's a much bigger pain to do.
that color scheme by the way was great. I really like that color scheme.
And again, it's a response to doing all the like, grimdark stuff for so long. I'm like, no, let's go the other way for a bit.
Let's go some
Yeah,
happy colors.
yeah, we're taking it way back to 1994.
Right.
So, Brandon, before we hit record, you were actually mentioning that you might be potentially messing around further with the Reaver sculpt and had some ideas for some updates, right?
Oh yeah. So hopefully when he's ready, I talked to Kenneth West. Is that
Friend of the
he's
pod.
Friend of the
yeah, friend of
pod.
the pod. He thankfully and like being an awesome guy and part of the awesome community that we're in, he was down to kind of like help me out with the sculpt a little bit. So my
Mhm.
plans are kind of to just resculpt his legs with the joint area and his hands so we can get a little better, like more of a playable type of feel where his legs, because I've noticed like from my own problems, his legs get
Mhm.
a little
Mm.
wobbly there.
Well,
Um,
and I think changing that pin design over, I think that'll help a lot because the way those pins are set up, those are really meant for resin. So I think getting either those pins done up in TPU or switching the full figure to TPU, I think that'll really help you out.
And
yeah,
just
so
for those who are watching, like I tried to pull it apart, but what's different here is there's in the like cylinder of the pin, there's a little cross section cut out so that it can kind of bend inwards. And so when you push it into the joint, it's supposed to lock. But if you're printing it in the FDM, which is a more rigid material, it can kind of become squished over time, which is, I think, where you're getting that looseness.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I definitely want to like work on that. And then maybe swap over to like a more durable resin to kind
Mhm.
of like do like the first wave, like a re-release of him in that resin, so I can just throw some paint on it and have some fun with that.
Sick.
Yeah, and see like where that goes. Definitely within time though. He was nice enough to say because he does have a few projects, but he was nice enough to come and help out with that. So I definitely look forward to that and kind of like giving Reaver a little like revamp and getting some figures out there.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's dope. Can you talk a little bit about Reaver's lore or anything, or is that something you want to save for like the full
I
full
mean,
re-release?
his lore is definitely still in the works.
Okay.
I definitely want to like think out a little bit, or at least like a good chunk of it that I haven't really planned too much. I'm kind of like still in debate of what I want to go with.
Sick. Yeah, well, whenever you get that done, let us know. We'll definitely have to have you back on for that, and then we can do like a little lore dump published to help hype that up because I love that sculpt and I love the ideas you've had with him, especially when we were trying to work on that summer project of doing him with flex joints.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
for
it's
sure.
it's it's awesome to see him get revisited.
Yeah, so I definitely really want to do that. You know, I've had some pretty good like support and some pretty good feedback on Reaver and his look. So you know, hopefully maybe down the line too, like I'll do like a little fun like carded thing and have Gordon, you know, draw up Reaver for me.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I do a
that'd go
collab
crazy.
there. That'd be awesome. Yeah, do a little collab there as well. So definitely a little more work on that. Like I look forward to doing the collab on your the heads that you're sending over.
Yeah,
So I
those should be there shortly. And so I sent Brandon some of these Vampire Lord heads. Actually, they are the glow in the dark resin ones. So if you want to like save a couple and like just have them as the glow in the dark, I tried to just do like a black wash on the ones that I did for these, but I had a really tough time controlling the wash so that it like ends up just in the eye socket and doesn't like make the face all muddy. Do
or
you, like, what do you usually do to if you're just trying to get like the wash into, I don't know, recessed areas, but not like, I don't know, blot out the undercolor?
definitely like a thinner brush, less of it on the brush so it doesn't like
Okay,
over pool.
that's probably what it was
Um,
too.
yeah, and then just the tip like being as fine as possible, you know.
Yeah, no, my I actually
Uh,
have
a straight pin is what I would have recommended.
these are some of the brushes I have. I have a bad habit of like not cleaning them out fast enough, so
Yeah.
they're all like
Oh,
frayed
I
and
get you.
stuff.
Yeah, that
But
that
Yeah.
used to happen to me a lot too. If you ever like just kind of want to like get cheap brushes, Amazon honestly, they're like
yeah,
those like little, they're like $8, $7, and I've used those for the longest time. I still use like a cheap pair that I have, definitely like worth like $6 or something.
although I
Uh,
will say like these beater brushes are great for dry brushing.
oh yeah, the beater brushes are the greatest for dry brushing and like terrain making. You
Yeah.
just like slap them all over.
So you were mentioning that like future you're gonna mess around with some more like durable or flex resins. Like what's your go-to stuff right now?
So right now I just have like regular like Elegoo resin.
Okay.
Nothing crazy because usually like for resin I'm usually printing like minis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like you know when I did the toy pizza minis, that's just regular resin like Elegoo resin.
Nice.
But I have heard of like I think it's called like Resizone or
Reza
Resitone.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Reza
Reza
one.
One, the like high impact.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've actually got a like a later release of one of the Stardust figures
Oh, cool.
that was made with that resin, and it actually fell from like the higher shelf that I have, and it did not shatter.
Damn.
So
Okay.
so so I have like you know high hopes in that, and I want to try that out. So
Yeah, I think Derek is using that mix on his like Sidewinder figure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that came out awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are gonna have to. We gotta get a like a live action figure paint off at next Toy Pizza Con.
Right,
It's
That'd
just
be
like
cool.
you, him, and Kenneth dueling with the brushes. That would be very
right.
fun.
Just a painting of right.
Yeah,
But
there
As
no,
you
long
go.
that I'm grabbing like a blank of that because I definitely want to paint that too. One of the
yeah,
sidewinders.
that'd be cool.
I want to grab one of those too. So
It's a great sculpt. It's really miraculous what how awesome Kenneth did with that. But I'm also really hyped to see Derek make a transition away from the magnets. Not that I don't love them, but just for the playability, like those joints feel so good in resin. It was kind of miraculous.
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully can't wait to get one of those in hand too. You know. So
Yeah, too much to collect from all the makers lately. Too much to
there's a lot.
collect.
Well, that's a good problem to have. And like
Yeah,
I
keeps us
I
keeps us out of Walmart and Target.
well and like I like, I actually like not being a completionist for
Yes.
everybody's stuff. Like what I like doing is sort of checking in every now and then and being able to follow somebody's evolution. Like for me, Grant, uh, Cool Cat Toy Co. is a great example of like every year when I see him at Toy Pizza Con, I try to pick up whatever he has that it's his new figure. Because like inevitably he's pulled off some crazy new shit where like I had his first figure, which was Anchor Fist, where he had sculpted on top of an existing, I think it was like a Mega Merge figure, and
I
used
think
similar
All
parts.
Might. It was All
Yeah.
Might, I think.
And then now he's doing like uh the shell shock like tortoise figure, so a non-humanoid figure that's like has crazy joint cuts and like little teeny mini figures which fit on the back with like a Glyos port. So and then there and between those two figures there's like whatever 4 or 5 or 6 like other sculpts. And so you can kind of trace like what's the new trick that he learned this year, and like where did it come from?
And to talk about that a little bit more, I mean, for what he's offering for that price point of that being a handmade, hand cast resin figure, you are essentially getting a play set
Hmm.
that is a figure that you can build with Glyos, like factory PVC, and two minifigures with it for what, like 35 to 50, depending on the paint.
Hmm.
It's pretty impressive and not too far off in line with what you'd be paying, for factory production stuff. So his pricing is very good on those, and I'm really impressed with that sculpt. What a fantastic figure in Evolution.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love that. So Brandon, what else do you have going on? Anything else in this, festive season of Halloween you're up to? What's
Um, Let me see. I definitely want to try and tackle some. I've had ideas of like maybe doing like Reaver themed Halloween figures,
Oh, that'd be
like
fun.
kind of just
oh, that is so
slapping on
fun.
some paint,
Hmm.
like maybe just out of like the old model and things like that. Kind of doing some like quick some prints out of like filament or just like playing around with it and doing some like Halloween themed. That's definitely something I might want to like visit, and
And you
then
have
maybe
the fixed pose mini too, right? A Reaver.
yeah, and then I want to do I have to get the supporting a little right because when I print that, the supporting doesn't come out the greatest, and
Hmm.
I'm not the greatest with supports. So, but yeah, I do want to do those two, like some minis, and throw them out there. I think it'd be like a little fun thing to do, maybe like a mini version that's included with like if you get like a reaver and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that'd be fun too, like a little blank or painted. But besides that, in terms of like just kind of working on like anything I find that's cool paint wise, and just I'm just trying to like mainly like just paint more and like put it out there and show off, like maybe open myself to commissions a little more and try and advertise that, for anyone who's interested in terms of like figures or miniatures and things like that.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for just, sharpening your tools and like practicing your craft. I mean, you mentioned me doing drawings and stuff, and so a lot of what I post on Instagram is just me doing essentially fan art of toys for my collection. And
Yeah, it's insane how you like pop one out every 30 minutes.
I mean, but that's because I started, I mean, I've been drawing basically since I was a kid, but I feel like I started doing the like at least one drawing a day sketch. It started out with like the Inktober thing on Instagram, where people would try to do a drawing a day during the month of October, with like a set of themed prompts. And that was just a way to force myself to draw every day. And then you get the little bit of community because you see all these other artists doing the same thing that you're doing. And then like this is, I feel like back when the hashtag sort of worked more and like Instagram was smaller. Um,
Okay.
Yeah,
uh,
back before it was one giant OnlyFans advertisement.
I mean,
Exactly.
and so like, it's whatever online community. I feel like that's sort of what Discords have become for a lot of people is just
Yeah.
like a small enough group of appreciative people that are like, even if it's just they're just like, thumbs up, good job, dude. Like that does help you out and kind of keeps you, working on whatever project you're going at.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like compared to like posting my stuff to like Instagram, to like compare to like our Discord and stuff like that, just the feedback and things like that kind of get you a little more hyped to
Mhm.
like keep putting stuff out there. It's that it's a little more just that like supportive vibe. So
Well, it's the difference between setting up in an artist alley at New York Comic Con versus setting up at Toy Pizza Con.
that's true. Yeah. I actually have a
Yeah.
question for you guys. Like, what's your like if you have a process into kind of getting into like that creative vibe? Because you guys are putting stuff out every day,
Hmm.
and like obviously that's insane. Like Brett constantly making like new sculpts, new toys, new models. Every like breath you take, there's a new model out already. And then Gordon just new drawings, new like new styles, new colors. Like, do you guys have a process you kind of go through, or is it just kind of like like just right out of nowhere?
I feel like it's a
Gordon, I
practice for
was gonna say,
me.
Gordon, yeah, you go first while I mull over this.
Okay. Yeah. Like for me, it's a practice like anything. And like, I don't know, Brendan, you're like a more fit dude than I am. But like to me, it's like the equivalent of like going to the gym, twice a week of, you do a little bit of drawing, and like that's sort of my baseline, making sure I'm doing something creative. And for me, like the sketchbook stuff is super easy because they're not my own original designs for the fan art stuff. It's just the practicing of like, can I draw a three-dimensional object on paper? And then that sort of slows my eye down enough to look at like how are people designing things? Where are they putting the joints? Like how does this actually balance as a figure so that when I do sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to draw something new and then import that image into Blender and start putting shapes out. I'm not starting from nothing. Um, and the other thing I would say too that's really helpful is like, you know, having a buddy. So like me and Brett are constantly texting each other dumb shit or, just saying like, awesome job on this new thing that you're working on. And so whatever like, you know, wherever you can find sort of community of just like showing people what you're working on, even if it's in process or, isn't going to become something for a couple of years, like your Reaver sculpt, which sort of sat around for a while. Uh, just having that like a little bit of support pushing forward, I think is really important.
Yeah, for me, I would say the biggest thing I always lean into is just doing it. I start off with a lot of my stuff. I don't know where it's going to go. It's usually just me fiddling around, bored out of my mind at work and shirking responsibility while I'm all tabbed on Tinkercad. And because it's my preferred design software, because very simple geometric shapes, baby's first CAD software, but with it being cloud browser based, I don't have to worry about an install. I don't have to worry about exports and stuff to and from my email or this, that, or the other thing. For me, I'm a really big fan of getting stuff out there, just constantly iterating, and deep diving artists I like, and just looking at old figures that inspire me. Basic, because I love the robotics. It's always what I'm doing. If the slime and the ooze stuff it's a very odd side quest that picked up a lot of traction. But with me, the robot stuff has always been my forte for figures. So I think Jesse of Toy Pizza fame always says it best. You just have to do it. It doesn't even have to be good. It just has to be done. And I think that getting in the repetition of just always doing it, you have no idea how many things I have just living on Tinkercad that I'm like, this is total dog shit. Nobody would pay for this. I don't even want to print it. It looks so fucking bad. But for me, I have to do it. It is almost like a compulsion that in a lot of ways, I don't have, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. I don't have the time to come home and fuck around with a Lego bin for 5 hours.
Mhm.
So, as much as I want to. So, in a lot of ways, this is me getting to live out some of that dream as a kid of just, I have all the free time in the world. I can build all these Bionicles or I can fool around with this castle. So, with me, this is kind of how I go about doing it. And then when I get those moments of, manic inspiration of, oh, this is something that's actually feasible, then when I get it off the print bed and I get it assembling, it really is just like building that bionic I had whenever I was a little boy. Um, but for what keeps the drive going, I don't really know. I think the momentum is really just is its own thing. I think if I take a step away from it and I take 2 or 3 weeks off, that very quickly turns into 2 to 6 months. So the more I keep on the treadmill, the less likely I am to hop off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Like, I asked that because you guys have definitely been doing this a little longer than I have. And like, it's definitely awesome to see you guys constantly like putting something out, whether it is like you said, whether it's something unfinished, whether it's just a design, things like that. It's awesome to see. And before we got to like know each other, and we were like, and before we got to be friends, I was obviously just a fan, like
Yeah.
someone who just discovered you guys and was a fan of your work. So myself, I do have a problem with kind of showing my work in progress and like getting into that habit of being consistent with like, hey, even though this looks like shit, like let me put it out there. It's more like I need to get this finished so it doesn't look like shit. So hearing you guys kind of say like, hey, even if it does, and just doing it is definitely something like I want to take into mind because you guys are obviously more experienced. So I definitely want to like get as much info as you guys are always kindly enough to let me like pick your brains constantly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I always appreciate that, but I've always just been curious of that as well. Like what your guys' like thought process is when you're just putting stuff out there like that.
And
Yeah. Go ahead, Gordon.
I remember being in the same spot. And so like I'll sometimes go back and look at old sketchbooks, and there's way more unfinished drawings in my old sketchbooks versus like as I get closer to present day, it's just, completed thing after completed thing. And a lot of that is like me accurately gauging like what can I complete and sort of setting that as my goal rather than just starting with a blank page and being like, well, what the hell do I do? Um, and so I feel like getting those complete reps in of like doing a little piece that really helps in building up the momentum rather than like, you know, having a bunch of half finished projects everywhere and like you don't really know which one to go with.
Yeah, like myself with minis, I have probably there like a bunch of half finished minis
Mhm.
that kind of midway I just go like I don't feel like it's good, things like that. So hearing that, like kind of hearing the aspect of doing more little and then building up to the bigger projects, like within time and or just on your time, it just getting those repetition and obviously it's a lot better. So like it definitely gives me a thought, maybe like on a daily I'll do smaller models just to kind of keep that consistently, and like Brett said, keep the momentum going instead
Mhm.
of like sitting out for like a few weeks and just losing that momentum.
Yeah. And with that, when I'm always working in the mechanical, I don't do a lot of organics because I get so burned out on organics at work. Whether I'm sculpting gingiva or, I'm doing custom tissue on an implant retained bridge, or I'm doing, just teeth. I look at so many fucking teeth every day. So, I get burned out on the organics. The thing is, when you start looking at sculpts as iterations and you stop looking at them as this must be the magnum opus, I have to look at this lens on this robot another 3 different ways. I have to print it this, I have to do this. When you just start putting them out there as an iteration, and if people like it and pick it up, and even if they don't, even if you just get some positive feedback, for me, it's like, okay, that's iteration one. This is V1. And then, oh, I'll change this. I'll do this type of arm on this. Maybe we'll revise this bicep to have more aesthetics on it. We'll have a V2 part. It's just playing. You're getting the fun of it. And for me, that's the fun of it, is always doing these iterations. And then by the time you have 3 or 4 different parts that do the same thing, you can have a catalog in which you can play with, a little bit different than, something like painting. But, if say, if we'll just use Space Marines for an example. If you work on a crew and you just say, today I'm just going to do all the guns. And then tomorrow I'm just going to do, full coverage on everything, and then we're just going to tackle this helmet this day. We'll get back to this. When you start ping ponging and playing, it gets the wind in the sail, and you can kind of keep moving, and it keeps you motivated. But for me, like, those apartments I put out, it was just like this funny little thing. Oh, this will be something funny to mess with. I had some extra filament laying around. Yeah, you get some there. But
Oh,
I
nice.
was like, oh, this will just be like this funny little thing I put out, and I got some extra doors laying around. I'll just kind of futz with this. And they turned out to be a massive hit, and people were into them. And I was like, this thing is like 20% done. But if people are interested, it can just be the V1, you know? And I think looking at stuff that way is okay too. Not everything needs to be the magnum opus out the gate. Less is more is really what I'm trying to get at with this.
Well, Brett's also the king of reuse. Like you're, I
Oh,
feel
baby,
like that's
recyclable station is what they should
right.
call me.
I mean, but that's, you know, I feel like that's such a cool part, and you can pull it in all sorts of ways into the hobby, but like figuring out how to reuse a trick that you use on, in one area, just in a different context of, maybe it's you realize that I don't know, whatever dry brush effect that you've been using on uh, a sword actually would work with like a different color scheme on, I don't know, like a skeleton, to do like raised bone structure stuff. It's sort of figuring out how to use whatever you already have in your bag of tricks to kind of solve a new problem. And so, like for Brett or I, where we're sculpting, you know, we're constantly going through our back catalog and being like, we can steal this hand and like mirror it to be the right hand where we had sculpted a left hand previously, or like just take this head and like, put a different hat or something on it, like that head sculpt that you were painting recently. That was a head sculpt that I did where it's originally just a woman with sort of like neck length hair, and she doesn't have the hat, but then Wyatt went in and stuck the hat on her and like did the coral on top to get a different look.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. But yeah, it was definitely you guys definitely answered my question in terms of like the curiosity on the thought process.
No, it's
Because
a good
since you
question.
yes, since you guys are like create like constant creators and you're like good creators, definitely like seeing that and like hearing how it's more about like the repetition and the consistency, whether it's something small, whether it's something just messing around, you're just still doing something. And I definitely am going to take that as like a good thought for myself in terms of like whether it's painting or anything really for like hobbying and stuff,
Mhm.
like just keeping that repetition, like paint something small or just to help put things out instead of like telling myself I have to finish a project quick instead of,
Yeah.
so
And I'm someone who's ran into that where I'm like, this has to get done. People were interested in it. I better finish this up and get this in the store. And then there's a lot of times where I get caught up with that. I'm like, this didn't even need to be marketed. This is not this there didn't even need to have money involved in this fucking thing. This was originally supposed to be a fun project I was working on as some robot for me to print 20 of for my toys to beat up just to have some generic bad guys. So, a lot of the times perfect is the enemy of good and good enough. And, I ranted and raved on our last episode post 413 Fest. There's so much reuse and there's so much slop at retail, and we see it a million times. But whenever I do reuse, I'm like, oh, this is a clever thing I'm doing, which is, there's some hypocrisy there for sure. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm doing this as a hobby. I don't really have that much skin in the game. You know what I mean? This isn't my end all be all. So I think if we all take a step back and stop looking at this as how I'm going to reinvent my life with it, and this is just a fun thing we're doing with the boys, and I get to text my friends and be like, guys, look how sick this robot is I made. Like if we get back to more of that, and I think this conversation is, a big part of that, I think we're all going to have a much better time, right? And I can't drive home enough that shit's pretty chaotic right now. The world's not exactly the way we all wanted it to be when we were going to be in our 20s and 30s and 40s. You should probably just enjoy what we're doing and enjoy the ride because the odds of me going into factory production, slim to none. Probably not likely. So I should probably just enjoy the little robots that I'm making and have a blast doing it. That's all.
I mean, also like it makes it better for everybody else in the community, and like,
Right.
Brandon, having you as like a fan of our stuff, but then also making cool shit yourself, like that makes it a cooler, little space to kind of either escape into or just hang out in. Um, and so like I think, you know, there is a lot of genuine value to be had there, that maybe not be apparent to someone who's just like, scrolling through the Instagram feed or something. But like the passion is definitely genuine in there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, when I first met you guys, and just and everyone that I've met from the community, the constant passion and the passion we share for everything, whether it's just toys, painting, things we make in general, just the creativity is there completely, and it feeds off of everybody. So it's like, we're just all pretty much putting in that same energy, and we're all willing to help each other. We're all willing to just share our stuff with each other. It's not like any of us have like knives to each other. It's it's
No,
it's
no,
awesome.
no. The minute it turns into that, I'm gonna have to go be put on an island somewhere and just be left. They're gonna have to put me in the savage land like it's X-Men and just
Right.
leave me to die with the dinosaurs. Yeah, I think there are communities that get like that, right? Where it gets very, oh, I can't let them know how I made this. That's my secret angle. That is so foreign and alien to me and bizarre. Like, what if we get to that point? What are we doing here? Like, if people want files for these joints I'm using, drop me a line. I'll get them over to you. I'll tell you how to integrate them. Like, let's see what you could make with them. Let's have fun. When was the last time the toy hobby looked fun to anybody that's bitching about what's at retail? It doesn't look very fun to me. So if we can be creative and exercise it and hang out and just shoot the shit and do stuff like this, I think this is a way better use of our time than doom scrolling Instagram and seeing price increases.
All that being said, there is still good stuff out at retail, particularly at our sponsor, Super 7.
That's
So,
right, Super 7,
Yes.
newest wave of Micronauts out, and David White did some of the sculpting on that.
mhm,
So, friend of the pod, MechaZone David White. But yeah, check that out. Affiliate link in bio.
right. And to pull from that, you know, another part of sort of the creative process for me is like going through my collection of stuff and, keeping an eye on what's going out there. And I feel like making my own stuff has given me a greater appreciation for what's out there. I sort of think of it like, you know, teaching myself to cook. I'm a pretty basic cook. I'm not particularly good. So, like, there's stuff that I would definitely only ever go to a restaurant to order because, like, my kitchen would be a complete disaster if I tried to do it myself. So, like, if you look at one of those, like pictures from that or figures from Thousand Toys, like the articulation on that stuff is insane. The like factory finish paint is crazy. The price reflects it, but like that's a really premium piece that was done by probably a huge team of like top of the line engineers. Um, and so, trying to pick like one or two things that I can learn from something like that, or like, you know, thinking of like painting stuff, looking at like the Golden Demon, showpieces that like they show off at Games Workshop. Like that stuff is pretty crazy, but you can pick a couple pieces to learn from. And then I'm sort of not necessarily, I'm losing the plot a little bit here, but I also feel like seeing stuff from independent makers or people who are learning the hobby can almost, in some cases, be more useful because it's easier to spot what they're doing. So,
Yeah,
like,
that's definitely true. I understand that. Like I keep I like on my shelf where I paint, I keep kind of like a little bit of everything everyone's made from, the community. Like I've
mhm.
got your figures, Brett's figures, Derek's figures, Kenneth's, uh, Gorilla Customs, friend of the pod.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Josh.
yeah, he sent me over minis that he's painted, so I
Oh,
have them
nice.
there too because he's done incredible work, and I just have them there as like, a little inspo, things
Mhm.
like that. So like seeing your guys' work and stuff like that, and your techniques and stuff, it's like for me, like like I paint a lot, but I don't feel like I can match your original cursed armor paint. Like I'm like lost when I look at it. So but I'm
Yeah,
like,
but
it
I
looks
would want
super
to.
cool.
I wouldn't want you to match it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so cool that you came up with your own paint scheme and did, you know, different stuff that I wouldn't think of like having the like blood trails come from the eyes on the little face and the chest and stuff.
Yeah, that weeping armor colorway is it's nuts. Like just how many hours did you put into that paint job, Brandon?
I wouldn't say like too much.
Okay.
I definitely broke it within like a few days. Like I just take
Yeah, yeah.
breaks. Um, but I also just end up not looking at the clock when I paint.
Well, and that's the best part of the hobby. Like, but there's the past, like the lost time of, oh man, we got a lot done here. And then, so I think
Yeah.
that's really great that you can just kind of get lost in it because there's times I definitely don't do that. And I feel like I'm rushing the clock to get stuff done. So there's definitely the purity of fun aspect that you've achieved with painting.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I rather like lose myself in paint time than doom scrolling.
Heard,
So
Yeah,
heard that.
awesome.
Yeah. So what else? Is there anything coming out that you're hyped up about, figure wise, anything you're looking to collect? I know you're a big Legions guy, so you picking up anything from Legions Con? You planning to go to that, or what are you looking at?
whatchamacallit, I'm dabbling in Legions a little more. I do want to grab
Yeah.
the I think it's the show exclusive. I'm not sure. It's the I always forget his name, the green skeleton dude. Scaphoid? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
cool.
Yeah, I do want to grab that, the version 2 of him.
Nice.
Because he was one of my first Legions figures when Legions first came out.
Mhm.
He was one of my first guys, so I would love to grab like a part 2 of him.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I saw that skeleton troop builder they put out. That looks really good, and like the price on them, it's marvelous what they are charging for those.
Oh yeah, that recently was awesome, and they're the zombies as well that they're going to
Oh
be
man,
offering.
Those look very
so
Like
good.
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
Those
like
are so
20
sick.
$20, right? Like
Yeah, and like I
yeah,
love that the cloth goods are like an extra add-on, so you can make them modern. But if you don't get them, they're just like a vintage fantasy zombie. It's so cool.
yeah, yeah. It was funny because we were talking about that the other day, like how no one's built like a kind of like a builder zombie
Mhm.
in
Right.
a sense, and then they just popped this out. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, the only thing in I don't know of anything in 112 for zombies aside from like those Cobra GI Joe guys like the mole miners or
Yeah,
whatever. That's like the closest thing I can think of that's not custom. In 118, Boss Fight did some zombies and there's like cryo and radiation colors, and there was like Zombie Lab, which I don't think they're doing stuff anymore. But 118, there's always a smattering of something. But for 112, I mean, I for what the horsemen are charging, I struggle to think of anything better for that value of money.
yeah. I definitely think it's crazy the skeletons because I do have some like in hand, like the gray ones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're tons of fun. Definitely, like definitely worth picking up, especially like at the builder prices, like $20.
Oh my God, I know. I
So
need to I really need to jump back into Legions. A friend of the pod, Ben Gillespie, was so kind as to gift me an old show exclusive vampire, and that thing
mhm.
was absolutely nuts. So I adored that thing. But I'm a big goblin guy, so I really want to track down some of those older goblins they did.
And I
Yeah, the
love that
goblins.
for the fantasy stuff, like because like fantasy monsters can kind of be any height or scale. I feel
Right.
like you can use the legions, like, giant knights or monsters as like an enemy boss type thing with 1/18th stuff if you want. So even though I only have like a couple, they're fun to mix in with all the 1/18th figures that I have.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love mixing scales and stuff, especially, I look at that a lot with Glyos. Like the height on something like the Delphi is so it just like towers over the little faded and Craboth. This thing's, just over 3.5 inches. He's a big dude. But
Mhm.
it's gonna be really fun whenever he is totally dwarfed by that infinite Fada that's coming.
Yeah,
That looks awesome. I
yeah,
can't wait for that. Yeah.
very excited.
Yeah. I was jazzed to snag all those after my 9.5 hour drive home from 413 Fest. But yeah, really looking forward to those. I might go back and snag some on the pre-order and troop build a little bit of those Sarvos and get some Mighty Maniacs heads and pop them on there and use that as like a trooper body. But we'll see. We'll see. Holidays are approaching. I need to relegate some money to Christmas for the family.
Well, I was
Just
actually
gotta.
thinking that like you could even just do custom like sculpted resin heads and just have the Glyos peg to peg into those spacesuit bodies. And
Oh
like
yeah.
they could be any sort of spaceman that you want. Or aren't they like the 6-inch figures come with those like that little like holograms that have like a Glyos peg on them, right?
Yes.
So you
Which
could
is like,
probably peg those in.
yeah, that's going to be really fun. I love the idea of them having a hologram on the arm. That would actually inspired me on Azon. I'm doing sockets on his forearm,
Oh,
so
nice.
I can do a little hologram thing, like he can be reading his DM messages or whatever. But I'm I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do that. I have an idea, but I don't think I can get full transparent. Like I don't think I'm going to do anything like acrylic, but you know,
I mean,
I'm hoping he'll be done before the end of the year, but we'll see.
I'll run some resin holograms for you, and we'll hit them with that DuraClear spot gloss.
Oh yes, yeah. Friend of the pod, Duraclear. Yeah, big fan of that stuff. The resin would be good. I had actually considered doing like some of the glow in the dark filament for that, and
Mm,
then just brushing over like raised text I would have on the print, and then that would give it like a layered effect. I thought that could be fun.
mhm,
Or do something out of that translucent PET G they have. Because
mm.
I don't play with PET G too much, but some of this like smoky transparents Bamboo does is really nice. So, just one more excuse to play around with something. And if nothing comes to fruition, we'll just do some energy blades that attach to the forearm. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, using just a standard size like porthole, that also lets people just like dig through their accessory bins and
Right,
plug in whatever they have.
right, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do with that is just make this like some goofy little open source robot trooper. But you know, we'll see. We'll see where that goes.
I'd love to see you, if you do the transparent stuff, tackle some energy shields. You know?
I have one sculpted. I It's been sitting in the backlog since last summer, summer of 24, I think. So yeah, I really want to. I love the idea of like the a hexagon style shields. Like it looks like a honeycomb pattern. So I have one of those sculpted up. So I've been kind of messing around with something like that.
So yeah, yeah, funny enough, I got the Valorverse
Oh yeah.
Swarm
Oh, those are
figure, and
nice.
his shield's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like that.
dude,
So
that's so sick.
I'd love to see you tackle something like that for your figures. His wings got the thing too.
Oh
But
man, that is
yeah,
so good. What is the name of that character from
I think
Balaverse?
it's a what is it? It's
The
Swarm something.
Swarm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
those are really. That's the glow one.
yeah, this is the glow in the dark one. I wish his glow in the dark was a little stronger.
Yeah,
Like I like buried him under a UV light, but he doesn't glow too much.
yeah,
But definitely a fun figure.
yeah.
But yeah,
Their stuff's been crazy, and the value you're getting on those big clearance, value
oh
sets they're doing, it's unreal. I'm really
that
looking forward to that O-ring wave they're gonna do though.
oh yeah,
That's
that
my
looks
jam.
awesome. Yeah.
An O-ring wave, swivel wrists with like the soft PVC hands, so you don't break the thumbs. Like I think Delta 17 is the only one I know of doing that, and Skeletron's doing it. But they have the holsters on that are working on an O-ring figure. It just blew my mind. I can't wait for those.
Did they announce the price points for that?
No, knowing them, I would assume anywhere from 19 to 25, but who knows? I mean, I saw at the last, I don't know if it's Joe Fest or Joe Lanta or Joe Buck 2. I have no idea what these shows are. Um, Bobby Valla announced they were lowering the price of Action Force, and now
Oh,
it's actually less to buy than what G.I. Joe Classified is last I saw.
yeah, it was. I actually went to the con, but I didn't go to that conference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was I forgot what it's called,
Yeah.
but yeah, I saw that he did. Yeah, he had like announced that they're cheaper now, which is crazy because like
And
Joe's going up in
Hasbro,
price.
yeah, I mean, because I think they Hasbro said standard Black Series Star Wars and Marvel Legends are 26 or 27.99
Yeah,
now.
27.99.
Jesus Christ. And then I think Joe is the same price. And the last I saw Valaverse were still 24.99 on Big Bad. So
Yeah, it's
I
insane, and from their own site, like they like when I first got my first Valor first figure, like the figure alone just comes with a bunch of stuff, like
Mhm.
6 ammo clips attached to him already, like
and all the
four,
hands. I mean, you're
yeah,
swimming in stuff out the
yeah,
box.
all the hands, the gun, and then you get a bunch of grenades. and like
It's
with your
unreal.
Joe, you get like a gun, maybe an extra hand,
You're lucky if you get grenades, right?
right? Yeah,
Um, yeah, the Valiverse stuff. Now, I only have one figure, but when I had gotten it and I opened it, it reminded me. I used to have a lot of the Sigma Six stuff when I was a teenager.
I loved Sigma Six
It's
growing up.
so
Yeah,
fun, and it was like it felt like that. I'm just swimming in loot with these things. And like none of the story is really that compelling to me. I like that they have like actual veterans figures made. I think that's really cool. But none of the factions like really speak to me so far. But like the value proposition of what you're getting, even with the basic stuff, uh, and in a 1/12 scale, there's no one else doing it better. Like Hasbro can't even do it as well. So,
yeah.
but
And what
yeah,
they what they did recently with the like mystery box and like the what is it? It's like the value's like 300 over 300 and you only pay like 150. Like that was insane. Like
yeah, and you got that big vehicle, right?
oh
What's that?
yeah.
Yeah, what's it?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
you have it. Let's
Oh
see this
wow.
jug. Let's see this juggernaut. Yeah,
Hold on. Let me get it. It's huge.
HasLab could never.
Hold on. Let's grab it. There you go. Yeah.
Holy hell! Look at that
Yeah.
thing.
It's like the
Oh
size of a
yeah.
small dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
This is the
sweet.
current.
Yeah,
He's got
cursed
the
armor's
cursed
in it.
armor on the turret.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It is insane. I mean, there's no plug or sponsor for Action Force, but
No, it's cool just to hype up fun toys.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's got like
Oh, you
Oh
got the
man,
whole
and
posse in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
cool. And then
That thing's fucking crazy.
we got the pizza boys in the back.
Hell yeah.
Oh hell yeah, the homie's ready to make that delivery.
Yeah, but yeah,
Dude, I
this
love that you have
thing.
the cursed armor on the turret. That's so
Oh yeah,
funny.
the minute I got it, I was like, you know what, this guy looks like a terror.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an insane deal. Like they gave you like all the attachments in the starter for like less than the price of the Vanguard itself, which I think is
That's
insane. Yeah, like the Vanguard originally like alone is like 125, and you pay like 100, but you get the Vanguard, all the add-ons, extra guns,
unreal.
insane stuff. Yeah, so
Unreal.
definitely like awesome.
I'm gonna have to level up my value proposition because I don't like. How do you compete with that? That's insane. Right. Yep. The next Orbix is going to come with 15 different accessories and 25 different legs. You heard it here first, folks.
Right? And a built-in pilot too.
Get built-in pilot, and
Yeah.
it'll connect to your phone.
Right.
Bluetooth-enabled robot. So,
Bluetooth.
$10.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. But that's awesome though. Like, and I one of the things I love about our group that we've been like chatting with and having these conversations with is how on top of finding deals we are. Like, you are on top of the 1/12 scale deals, Brandon.
Oh
But
yeah.
like Gordon was hunting around for it was the Beast Wars. Is that the first Optimus Prime?
Yeah, so it's
The
the
bat.
Optimus Primal and Megatron two pack where Megatron's a crocodile and Optimus Prime's like a bat, and it came with one of these like little square mini comics that Kenner used to do. Like
Right.
if you've ever seen the Alien versus Predator like two pack, they would do a little comic pack in with that as well. But yeah, Brett helped me find like a super good deal. All the stuff I was finding was like $40 for what should be a $10 transformer. Or at
I
least
did, and
to my mind should be a $10 transformer because that's what it was like 20 years ago when I bought it
yeah.
in
I
KB
always say
Toys.
I $10 want that or I $20 want that when the price is like 60 or even like I'd pay $10 for it. But yeah, I pride ourselves in always finding the deals. I like that. We need to get another group like in the Discord. We need to have a tab instead like we have deals, but we need like the deals, the stuff we're finding of like very
Hmm.
specific things. But yeah, that's been a very fun side quest we've been on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the reason I got the Valorverse boxes was you sent that the instant it dropped. You were like, "This is such a good deal. You have to get this."
Yeah, I was like, oh, I know I have somebody that's deeply into 1/12. He'll love
Right.
this. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, Brandon's swiping the credit card. So, I'm sorry in
Yeah.
advance for that, but
Right.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
I was like, I was debating. I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, "Do you think I should do this?" Brett said it's a good idea.
Say it's a
Yeah.
business expense. Say
right?
it's like you're researching for
Right,
your own
Yeah.
action figure line.
Yeah,
right. I'm
it's
researching.
diabolical work to quote me that it's Brett said to do it. Therefore, it must be a
Yeah,
good idea. And then you
right.
fact check it with your future wife. That horrifying.
Yeah. So I went from having like two Valivers figures to maybe like 15 now, I guess. Like,
But like the nice thing is though, like for what you paid for that bulk, like you're probably good for the foreseeable future. You
oh
know what I
yeah,
mean?
uh,
Like you're probably
I'm
set.
set.
So,
And then I was one of the lucky ones to get the unreleased Day of the Dead edition figure.
I was
So
super sick.
yeah, I have it in box like back there somewhere
Oh,
still,
right
but
on.
yeah, but I definitely want to open it. Maybe I'll do like a little unboxing reel and things like that too. So
Oh, right on.
yeah, but for in time for Halloween, that'd be cool too. So
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
What about you, Brett? Have you scored any deals since last we spoke?
Nothing super crazy. I got the first release Delphi in
Oh,
from
that's
Onell
right.
Design, gently used from friend of the pod Rusted Toys. He always has the best Glyos deals. So I'm
Nice.
really smitten with this. I've skipped every Delphi that Matt's ever put out, and I until Infinite Fading gets here, I think this is my favorite Onell figure.
Excellent.
The texture on the snake, like the original Delphi snail head, is so good. I love the space deep spacesuit look, and I love like the narrow arm cannon on him. It's just everything about it feels good. The weight's really excellent. So really been enjoying that. Um,
Have you found any good vehicles for him, like in your collection?
no, no.
Not
I
yet.
my vehicles are sparse and few and far between. I don't really have many left these days. I sold off a lot of them. I am doing a little bit of a hunt tomorrow at Ollie's to try to track down some cheap vehicles. So that remains to be seen. I mean, I think this really just results in we're going to make our own
Yeah,
vehicles,
we need
right?
to make one now. Like
Right.
that's
We were sharing pictures about that Jesse Moore of Colgrim fame's warp bike, and Jesus Christ, like it's
yeah.
perfect. So we got to do something in the vein of that. That's not a direct copy of a beloved Glyos maker, but yeah, I want to do some kind of crazy bike. I also think it'd be really fun to do like a space dune buggy, just something
Mm.
stupid, but
And
it's like kind of
I love being able to follow that train of logic of like, man, what's a good deal can we find on this? Like, look at this cool listing, like a little too expensive, and then it inevitably leads to the conclusion of, wait a minute, we can do this ourselves.
Yeah, it's like, well, I do have 37 different colors in the box. I think I'll
Mhm.
just make it myself. And then what should have just been me spending $17 turns into 6 weeks of work and another roll of filament ordered. But I don't know. That's the fun of it, right?
Yeah, no, like that's why we're here. This is the process. Like that's the hobby, is like making this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any other deals I have around here that I've picked up. My buying has really screeched to a halt prior to the show.
It's probably
Oh,
for the best.
I will say, fantastic pickup at that science and learning store we went to is this beautiful little Tomy
Oh
robot.
wow, you got one of those
I
there.
got one of those. It was like $6 or $7. Like,
Oh
it's a little
man,
expensive, but like, listen to how
holy
annoying
shit,
that
yeah.
is. Was that
that
coming
looks
through?
awesome.
That's
Yes.
yeah. It's great. It's a little hand spin. Look how fun. I was like, I'm not leaving without this thing. And like, it was at checkout. That's the best impulse buy I've made in 5 years.
That's
So.
excellent.
Yeah, he's a constant desk companion. I really should have bought like seven of these, but yeah, they're very fun. I thought that'll be a fun thing. Gordon, I'm actually going to send you back there and make you buy me like
Hey,
10.
I'm happy to. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're going to end up rooting around through like Schleich and Playmobil toys, so I
No, I'm
apologize in
sure
advance.
I'll come home with some stuff.
Oh,
Like what?
those figures are the Schleich figures are so good. I
Yeah,
love
they're
Oh,
those.
crazy.
they're great. I just when we went in there because we were looking around for something for me to get for my son whenever I was on that trip. I was like, I can't come home without a toy for him. So we ended up getting that Schleich has that Eldrador series, like the fantasy animals. So I
Yeah,
got him the Ice Wolf with like the real serious anime villain scar over the right eye. So yeah, he was all jazzed about that.
yeah,
Awesome.
those figures are awesome. Like I love their golems and
Yeah.
they're like fantasy creatures. It's so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're just put that. What was that thing you had said not too long ago? They're doing that. It was like that shadow worm. That thing was crazy.
Oh yeah, the shadow. Exactly when you were talking about your worm idea too, they made like this shadow worm looking thing.
Yeah, that thing was insane. I do still want to do some kind of articulated worm. But and
Mhm.
now that I have that ball joint thing kind of figured out with the sockets, that would be very fun to do some kind of like articulated mechanical serpent. But I'm
Mhm.
sure by the end of this, it's gonna be kind of phallic and disgusting, and someone's gonna make some perverse joke, and I'll be upset. I won't make it, but I'll just try to get ahead of that while I can.
No, you just go the Mecha Ridley angle.
Yeah, I think that's probably closer to a reality than anyone wants to believe. But yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
I mean, Toys and Tomfoolery, friend of the pod, keeps saying how we need a Ridley figure. So like,
Yeah, but if I were to do something in that vein, I'm gonna make it not totally Ridley.
oh yeah.
Just enough that he's upset it's not perfect. So, and that's okay
Well,
too.
well, then you can just like do a modified head sculpt in a custom colorway as a one-off.
Yeah. I think doing that is very fun. I also think having it where it's a two-headed dragon is really sick.
Hmm.
So, but we're getting into the weeds and some of the insider baseball of what I want to do. So, maybe we'll save that for the unveiling pod for that idea.
Well, we've been going about like almost an hour and a half. So do we want to like wrap up the official recording and
Yeah, that sounds like a good place to put a
throw
pin
out
in
some
it.
plugs?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Brett, do you want to lead off with the plug since you have the official sponsorship?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big deal. Big money guy right here. Yeah, I'm Brett Barnacle. You can find me at Aegis Station on Instagram, and you can find me at aegisbazaar.bigcartel.com if you're interested in any of my robots or creations. Orbix, my big 6-inch figure, is now live there. And Gordon will have it linked in the show notes, but it will be super7.com/Aegis Station, all one word. Every purchase there just recoups a little bit of money for me using that link. And the more that we use that, the sooner I can start offering discounts to people. So thanks for in advance for that. Gordon, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Vladimir the Batamir, or I'm the person who mostly replies to the comments on these videos. I'm also the person who edits them. So you can get at me through YouTube. And Brandon, where can people find you?
So yeah, people can find me on Instagram mainly at Divine Serp. I'm open to collabs. If anyone ever wants to collab or just check out my work. And you guys should definitely check out Brett and Gordon because they make awesome figures. So
Hell
Well, thanks,
yeah.
brother. Appreciate
Thanks.
that.
Awesome. All right. Well, that about does it. So until next time, catch you all
yep.
later.
Bye.